If you were the Yetzer Hara, what would you do? This was a question that was asked to AI, and he gave a number of responses. I want to summarize a little bit about it. One of the mahalchim that he says, one of the ways that he describes the Yetzer Hara, what we call the evil inclination, is that it would work suddenly with no direct rebellion. It wouldn't tell you just to drop Torah and mitzvahs, just leave it all. That would be too obvious. Rather, it whispers to you, just skip this one tefillah. You're tired today. Hashem will understand. You don't need to be so extreme. Just relax a bit with your observant. Why not experience the world a little bit? You can always come back later. Another way, another direction would be appealing to the identity and the autonomy of the person, which means the Yetzer Hara would tell you, you should be yourself, be your real self, not just what you were taught by your parents and your teachers and what they expect. Think about yourself, make your own path, be an individual. Stop being a sheep that follows the shepherd. Go ahead and be your own individual. A third idea is presenting the Torah as just being a little bit too much of a burden. It's just too much, too many rules, too much pressure. Everyone else is having fun, and here I am being stuck with all these halachot, all these limitations. This is a little bit too much for me. A fourth way would be by creating confusion and doubt. How do you know that this is even true? You're giving up so much for it. Are you sure this is accurate? Maybe the Torah is just some cultural tradition, like they said on Fiddler on the Roof over there. What about all the other religions or scientific views? There are so many views out there. Who says this is the right way, that you have to go ahead and subdue yourself to everything that's in front of you? I hope I'm not convincing anyone here. Don't make any mistakes. And one last way is also by temptation, such as you're missing out on the real life, or look at your peers, they're enjoying things and you're denying yourself. It paints some type of hedonistic, secular world, which we're familiar with, that leaves the Torah world as just being something boring, isolated, and just not interesting at all. And sometimes it can go the other direction and just make you feel absolute guilt. You know you're all messed up. You sinned anyways. You're just acting like a hypocrite. Look at the things you look at. You're just wasting your time. Why be religious? Why bother doing mitzvahs if you're not perfect anyways? Anyways, you have the lower standards of what you are supposed to be. That is the power of the Yetzer Hara. It is the power that goes over a person. And his biggest strength is when he forgets that he's at war. As long as he doesn't realize that there's a war ahead of him, then you should know that's his biggest troublesome problem. As the Masil Sharm, of course, writes, that the Yetzer Hara is the master of deception. And you have to be a chayal, you have to be a proper soldier that is constantly aware and on guard and privy to everything that he has to say in order to be able to succeed against him. That is what we have in our Parsha. When our Parsha mentions the idea of Ki Teitzei L'Milchama, it refers to the idea of the Milchemet Yetzer Hara. As we know, the Mefarshim tell us, the Or Chaim HaKadosh L'Shlo, and others, that it's really referring to a different war, the war from within the person. And it teaches you to be malim ayin, to have a blind eye, to play a blind eye, and not see everything that he's doing. Because as long as you don't look, he can attack. It's very similar to Arab war. They work only by the element of surprise, hiding underneath tunnels, falling behind here, secretly going from one place to the next, and they never play a face-to-face battle. Mamash, the war that we're facing now is the war of the Yetzer Hara. And that is what we say when we say Al Chet Shechatanu Lefanecha Al Yetzer Hara. We talk about admitting the Chet that we did with the Yetzer Hara. Of course, with the Yetzer Hara. What is it with the Yetzer Hara Tov? So I saw in the Sefer Ol Moshe that he explains the idea behind it is that we come to admit that I know that it was the Yetzer Hara. I know that I have a Yetzer Hara. I come to acknowledge the fact that I have a problem. The fact that you are privy to the fact that there is Yetzer Hara, there's a war in front of me, you put up your whole defense system. That's what the Sfat Emet also writes on the pasuk, Ki teitze machane al oivecha, when you go against your enemy and you make an encampment against him, v'nishmarta mikol davar. He says v'nishmarta is past tense. It should have said v'eshmar, it should have said v'shamarta in the future. What does it mean v'nishmarta? You already have a protection. I didn't go to war yet. So he says the fact that you acknowledge the first part, the fact that you know that there's an enemy in front of you, the second you appreciate the fact that you are sitting in the middle of a war, from then on in, you are v'nishmarta. You're already protected. That itself is the point of protection. From there, you will be able to avoid all the traps in the process. When we went out to this war in the beginning, Rachmana litzlan, we lost a lot of soldiers. Now we knew that Hamas plays an unfair game. We were familiar, but they didn't realize the extremity of the booby traps, of the snares, of all the hidden explosives, of the minefields. I can tell you stories on end from Chayalim over there about the amount of trickery and incorrect warfare that the Hamas played on our soldiers. Once they learned the field, once they understood what kind of battle they're in front of, Baruch Hashem, things are faring much better. We're in a much better place compared to where we were before. Because the second we appreciate that there is a war and what the war is about, v'nishmarta, past tense, I am now protected. And that's what it says in the pasuk, says the Sfat Emes, im takum alai milchama. If I come in and have a milchama against us, we say in Tehillim and LaDavid, bezot ani boteach, on this I will have bitachon. The second, what does it mean bezot? What's the bezot? The second I know alai milchama, that there is a war, bezot ani boteach, so then I know, then I will be protected. Then I realize that I am in a good place and I am now protected. I have nothing to worry about anymore. The two biggest the wars that we fill, the biggest calamities that occurred since the beginning that this Medina and Eretz Israel started, are 50 years separated from each other. Of course, the Yom Kippur War in 73, and in 23, the October 7th, or what we call Simchat Torah War. Never understood why they call that Yom Kippur and this one turned October 7th. It looks like we turned fry. It should be the Simchat Torah War, the war that occurred on Simchat Torah. And both of them have one common denominator. The writing was on the wall. Golda Meir knew everything that was happening. She heard, but she didn't believe it. We won. We're so powerful. We did a 6-day war just a few years before. We're okay. She had no inhibitions about it. And when she realized the calamity of her mistake, when she realized how incredibly mistaken, how she was completely off from her assessment, suddenly they found cyanide in her drawer. She wanted to kill herself. She almost killed herself. Kodesh Baruch Hu did a tremendousness, and we ended up winning that war, which didn't look like it was going in that direction. Al Kol Panim, that's what happened over there. And also now, the Shabak, the Secret Service, definitely knew about all the signs. They were actually practicing behind the gates about what they were going to do. There was a lot of signs, and they didn't play. They played a deaf ear. There are good reasons for it, for political reasons, no question. Their hate for Netanyahu was abounding, and there's no question that they played an ear, a blind eye about what was happening, but they obviously didn't realize the extreme of what was going to happen. They probably thought it was just going to be some pigua. They didn't realize how bad it would get. Both of them came for not appreciating that there is an enemy on the other side of the fence. Just like a hostage, a wife of a hostage told one of her captives, my husband used to invite you over to eat. He used to take azatim and he would drive them to the hospital when they weren't feeling well. He took care of them. They were so pleasant too. Many of these Palestinian azatim. So why are you doing this to us? How can you capture us? It seems so hypocritical. And he says, because that's your job and this is my job. I have to do this and take care of it because your job is to take care of us because we are the chosen people. That's what he told her, the Arab said to her. Al kol panim, just like you're not supposed to acquiesce to the enemy ever, rather appreciate and acknowledge the fact that he is your enemy, and that is the only way, and that is the way that you will be able to vanquish him. The more you realize how fearful and how scary he is, the Goliath that stands in front of you, so then you could swing a slingshot like David did and kill him on the spot because he realized that everything was b'yad Hashem and he couldn't do it without him. Al kol panim, that is the Yesod over here that we've learned about the Yetzer Hara. He does not play a hand-to-hand battle because he will lose. The second you acknowledge, appreciate, and are privy to the fact that the Yetzer Hara is battling you, you will overcome him. The only way to really vanquish is by appreciating that he is here. The second you play a blind eye, like we just read, Mr. AI, or I should say Rabbi AI, just told us by telling us that he hides his identity. He tries to trick you to say everyone's doing it. It's not such a big deal. It's not really fair what's going on. And playing all these excuses on the side, you will never win. You will not be able to succeed. The lesson that we learn from all this is that the Yetzer Hara never roars. It whispers. It plays a secret blind eye, and it works only in a very quiet tone. It never fights hand to hand and with swords. It likes to fight with doubt, with comfort, with guilt, and sometimes even with delay, by waiting for tomorrow. Those who know it's a war, and the second you acknowledge it's a war, as the Sfat Emet wrote, then those who stay, those are the ones who know how to stay alert, and even if they fall, eventually they will win. Every time they try and this occurs, that's what happens. This is the mistake that we have fall, and with this I finish, in democratic and liberal society. Because what happens is we grow from challenges. We grow from a Yetzer Hara that's in front of us, and we fight against it, and we appreciate there's something that we need to do. All of the idea of the nowadays liberal society of Democrats, and especially of these horrific leftists, is basically to say there is never something wrong. Anything that bothers you, any hindrances, concede to those hindrances. If you're having trouble being male, turn female. If you're having trouble being female, turn male. It's not a big deal. And you know what? You could do both if it's necessary, as long as it makes you feel good. If you do something wrong, then just say, but that's my belief. That's what I hold, and it's not wrong anymore. You understand? That means there is no Yetzer Hara. Exactly what the Yetzer Hara was trying to do. They acquiesce to that Yetzer Hara. Everything that occurs ends up being correct, because if I feel that way, if I act that way, then it's beseder. What could be wrong with what I'm doing if that's just the way I feel about it? That's what I should be doing. That's lechatchila, not b'diavad, as they say. Exactly what the Yetzer Hara is trying to get to. And then there is no challenges. And when there are no challenges, there's depression, there's no growth, there's no change. Everything is one deceptive life after another. And that, if they would have opened up AI, would realize the mistake that they are making, because in actuality that is exactly what the Yetzer Hara is trying to make us do. It's trying to teach us that yes, everything you do is fine. It's not wrong. There are no challenges in life. When it's difficult, switch. Just make a change or just accept it, and it's going to be okay. As long as you feel good, then it's all good, and you don't have to worry about anything else. This is what we've learned from Ki Teitze b'milchama, that you are out in a milchama. There is a war, there is an enemy, and you will fall, and it's okay. Because as long as you realize it, you will win in the end. Because as long as you see the enemy, then you know who you're battling with. It's incredible how the same leftists that are the ones that are welcoming in the Palestinians, that are waiting to make a truce with the Palestinians, that kiss and love them and hug and hold that they're such special people, are the same ones that hate religion so much. Because religion vouches for the fact that no, we don't accept everything. There are no's in life. There is some times that you have to put a halt, a stop, and some people which are meant to be accepted. We have rules and regulations in this world. And yes, not everything is a hippieville. Not everything is just everything's good and just don't worry about it, because it's not the way the world works. I'll end with a story of a guy who walked into a bar, And every time he would drink and drink, and he would start crying and bawling out every time. He was so upset about it, until the bartender said to him, listen, buddy, you come in here every day, you drink yourself down, empty your wallet. I know a great psychologist. He will help you out. Go to him for a few sessions. Bezrat Hashem will take care of your problem and your addictions. So the guy said, great, no problem, it's worth the money. Anyways, I'm spilling all my cash on liquor. So he disappeared for 3 weeks. He went and attended the psychologist for 3 weeks, and then he came back to the bar. And the guy said, oh, fill her up, buddy. He said, oh, Gavaldik, and he went ahead and he filled him up. The bartender filled up his beer, and he started drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking again. He said, what are you doing? I thought you went to the psychologist. I thought you said it's not a problem. He said, I did go to the psychologist. Is he good? He's great. He's fantastic. So what did you accomplish? What did he do there? He said, no. He said, now I drink and drink and drink, but I don't feel bad about it. It's fine. I'm okay. No big deal. Do whatever I want. I feel good about it. He taught me how to feel good about it. Not exactly what we understand. Sometimes we have to accept the fact that if we're doing something wrong, make a change, acknowledge the fight, work with it, fall, get hit down, and pick yourself up, clean yourself up, and acknowledge the fight again, get back in the ringer, and knock him out. Shabbat shalom.